right. So if we can cool here with Elias from Nonpoint. How you doing, man?
I'm wonderful. How you doing, buddy?
Can't complain, man. Things seem to be getting a little bit better out there.
Yeah, we're all, under it right now.
Well, where are you actually located?
I'm in Michigan.
Okay, yeah, I'm in New York, so finally we're on the right side for a little bit here.
Yeah, you guys are actually doing really well.
So I want to talk to you about Remember Me, man. The song's great. I love the video. How'd you come up with the concepts?
Right now, as everyone well knows, we're all in a pandemic and bands are off the road. The industry is kind of upside down, and we're trying to just figure out how to keep ourselves busy and keep our fans engaged. So we started this kind of campaign called the Quarantine Sessions. We were dark for a little while. We were writing new music and getting ready to do a new release when all of this happened, and it kind of made everything tumble out of control. So to gain a little bit of control, we decided to lean on our fan base and really start to help, with a little bit of relief that our fans were reaching out for. And one of the things that we felt like we could definitely do was go back into our catalog and find some of our songs that spoke to the times. If anyone who's followed our band knows, our message is about, trying to get through tough times and trying to champion ourselves through, tough moments. And this is one of the toughest moments we've ever dealt with as a people. So, we started with the Alive and Kicking initiative and really trying to get people focused on keeping each other safe and keeping that social distance and, being very communicative about what's going on in your community so people could, notice spikes and, help each other through this. And, from there it was, it naturally went straight to Frontlines. So we jumped on re-recording and doing an acoustic version of Frontlines off the heels of doing the acoustic version of Alive and Kicking. And when I started doing the vocals, for some reason, the lyrics in the verses weren't speaking to me as well as the original did for the military. And I really wanted this to speak for essential workers and people on our front lines, in the medical industry and, dealing with, EMTs and, firefighters and military staff. Everyone right now is kind of all hands on deck. So I wanted to make sure that it spoke to everyone. So we redid some of the lyrics in the verses and kept the chorus the same. And here you go. And this is the track.
Now, it must have been an overwhelming feeling to have all those people send in the little pictures and stuff you did for the video.
Yeah, the concept was something that our creative director, Francesca Ludicar, helped us put together. And she was like, hey, let's just send out an email. We'll send out some posts, set up an email so people can let us know what they do, how they're essential to, us continuing here right now. And they definitely came to bat for us. It was a very moving experience. The first time I saw the video, it wasn't even 30 seconds, and I was already tearing up.
Now, hopefully, man, it opens up some eyes out there. I mean, people just seem to not really give a shit what's going on out there. Everyone thinks it's cool, and look at the numbers are spiking all over again.
Yeah, it's really showing the lack of care that people have until it actually lands on your doorstep. There's a lot of people who I don't know how they think this is some kind of gigantic worldwide hoax or some political, play of one, political party versus another. My guitar player's grandmother has passed from COVID. One of my dear friends in Long Island right now has COVID, and his wife, he's got 2 children that live with him. So, having 2 parents that are down and not wondering who's going to go grocery shopping or am I going to be okay, to take care of the kids tomorrow. It's a serious situation. And the sooner everyone kind of understands that and really starts working together, keeping social distancing, wearing a mask. There's so many things saying, "Oh, masks don't work. You can still breathe," and it's that kind of negative, you know, propaganda that is really taking the obvious safety of things like wearing a mask and keeping 6 feet from each other at top of mind, and to protect each other. I have a daughter who has asthma. Yesterday, I went to the store. I had to go to the store. I very rarely go to the store. I'm one of the people that actually tries to keep my grocery shopping to once every 2 weeks, so I'm only out of my house twice a month. But I had to literally tell a guy to back up. I'm like, "Hey man, back up, 6 feet. I have a daughter with asthma. It's not about you. It's about, you keeping your, droplets to yourself, basically. And, a mask helps that." So.
No, man, I'm exactly the same way. I do the same thing. I go grocery shopping, like you said, about 2 weeks apart. I hit every store I can. I wear my mask. I have a disposable glove for each store. I disinfect myself in my car.
Yeah, there's a reason that doctors and healthcare officials have been wearing masks and gloves their entire careers before a pandemic. It is helpful. Just like the reason China's saying masks help. It's the way that we got it contained. So the more people start keeping distance, the more they start wearing masks, the sooner we're going to see ourselves out of this.
Now, this has got to put a whole spin on the music industry. I mean, you're not allowed to tour. You start seeing some places open up where touring might be available. Now, those numbers are spiking there. So all those tours are getting scrapped. It's got to be a real hard time.
Yeah, I just got an offer today, literally before I got on the phone with you. And I said, after yesterday's spikes, we got 50,000 new cases yesterday. I fear for my life. I fear for the life of my band, my crew, my fans. And I don't want to draw them out to a situation where I feel like they're going to get ill. Until we have this under control, it's just smart for everybody to, to kind of do your best to survive. And, I would say if this isn't a wake up call to everybody on what your taxes do versus what your government is doing for you right now, I have yet to see any relief. Band people and gig workers filing unemployment. I've filed unemployment all the way since March. I have not seen a dime. None of this stuff is coming through. People need to get out there. They need to vote. They need to start putting people and systems in place that start taking care of their citizens when things like this happen. We can't keep doing this, to ourselves. We have to start really, as a community coming together and trying to figure out some of these problems, or else we're going to find ourselves in our houses every 4 years, and it's going to completely cripple this entire, species. We need to be smart, and, everybody needs to fucking get on board.
Now, one thing people don't realize is that when you're in a band, I mean, touring is your main source of income. I mean, without you being able to get on the road, that money's not truly flowing in. Unfortunately, people don't want to spend money on music anymore. They feel entitled.
Right. So we're having to get very, very creative. And, I can just say this to fans. If you like a band, you got to support them. That's the only way that they're going to continue to survive, or you're literally going to see them come and go. I've seen dozens and dozens of bands throughout my career, literally get all of this love in the beginning, and you never see a second or third record from them because, the industry literally, drains them of all of their, energy and will, just by putting out music and getting out there and touring and really seeing nothing in return. After a while, people, that bubble's going to pop.
Now, as a musician, man, I mean, you think about the future of what touring's going to be? I mean, you have promoters saying that they don't want to pay what they used to pay. You got venues saying they don't know how many people can be inside. I mean,
the future of touring is going to come down to the artists, really. I know that it seems like it's going to be resting on promoters and everyone. It's really going to be down to the artists getting together, putting together packages that they know promoters and venues and fans are going to want to see, and putting together an actual bill and a ticket and a show that is worth the ticket. You know, I think if anything is going to happen, this, you know, when touring starts up again, it's really, people are going to know that whether or not they're going to want to spend their money on that ticket, and it's not just going to be because of the top billed band. You know, we really have to come together as an industry and really start putting packages together that people actually want to see, as opposed to putting packages together that, you know, have an amazing band at the top and then just a bunch of bands you never heard or just paid to get on the tour. You know, it's like there's not going to be enough venues and there's not going to be enough shows to you know, to hold all the traffic that's about to come. So if anything, I said this on an interview the other week. It's really going to be bands getting together and really filling that ticket with something that the fans are just going to be extremely excited about it. So you know they're going to be there from beginning to end.
the thing I'm worried about is like people trying to cash in. There's going to be like another Firefly going out or something like that. You know, everyone's eager to go see a show, and I don't want, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're saying like Firefest. Yeah, everyone is definitely going to, you know, there's definitely going to be people that are trying to take advantage of you know, the excitement that comes with you know, concerts coming back. You know, but you know, hopefully promoters and agents and everyone are really smart and they really do their best to protect their artists and to protect the fans. But you know, again, it's gonna come down to those packages and those camps really getting together and making those shows great.
Now, you were saying how you can see that certain venues aren't going to be there anymore. I mean, in instance for me, I see venues that are big around my area that actually spent the money that they had. They had tickets for shows that got postponed or canceled, and they said they can't afford to give out the refunds because they spent all that money just trying to keep the lights on during this downtime.
Yeah, it's you know, that's another part that's gonna hurt us, and only obviously the honest promoters and the honest clubs that really, you know, did their best to keep their business practices on the up and up for their fan base and their customers that come in. Those are going to be the ones that survive. You know, if you're a concert venue and the concert doesn't go on, you got to give people their money back. I mean,
now going forward and seeing shows, I mean, it's going to be different. I mean, you've seen the backlash that that country guy just had for having 4,000 people there, and they're all ass to elbows next to each other, no mask on.
mm-hmm. Well, we just had to deal with a similar situation in Wisconsin. It's something that, you know, some promoters and some clubs are deciding that they're going to take a political stance against this virus. People are not understanding that the virus don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. You're going to get sick if you're standing next to somebody that has COVID. If you're standing next to them for an entire hour worth of a show, you're gonna get infected. There is no way around it. So you know, until people start, like I said, understanding that we're gonna be in this exact same situation.
Now, going forward, I mean, it's going to be even hard for rock bands. So, I mean, I can't imagine having a venue where it's spaced out and, you know, your fans can't get all up close to each other and fucking get into the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you know, things went from, you know, records pressing vinyl, and then people wanted to travel with their music, so it went to, you know, 8-track, and then that was too big, and they wanted it more convenient, so it went to tapes, and then tapes were warping and messing up in people's cars, so it went to CD, and CD was scratched and all messed up, so they made it digital, and That's the evolution of delivery of music. Concerts are going to evolve, just like everything else. We've gone from board meetings to Zoom meetings. Concerts will most likely take a similar turn. Technology is there to help us out of these situations, and you do what you can with what you got until it's time to get back to normal. And then when it does get back to normal, I'm sure there'll be there's going to be a new type of concert venue. So it's get ready for the new CD.
Now, do you think? Do you remember the SARS Festival a few years back? How that kicked off Toronto because everyone was afraid to go to shows there because of that. You think there might be something like that for us here in America?
I don't know. To be honest with you, there's such a big question mark over our federal response of this. There's we have the CDC saying something completely different than the COVID White House task force, who's saying something completely different than our president, who then in turn is saying something completely different than the World Health Organization. So, there can be no, one plan when there is no federal response, no real federal response. Just getting masks and getting, PPEs to healthcare workers, that's not a response. That's just a Band-Aid. There needs to be a bigger response in order to tackle this thing. And until that happens, we're going to be right here. Because no one knows what to do. Every single state is looking at each other going, okay, I guess I'm going to do this. Okay, I got spiked, so I got to lock back down. Look at what California just did.
Right.
And every single governor is saying the same thing. We are getting no federal guidelines. We can lean on the CDC, but when the White House and the president is saying something completely against what the CDC, look, Dr. Fauci is the head of his entire task force is contradicting every single thing that they're all saying. So how can any state or any governor or any citizen for that matter know what to do when the people that were in place for it were disbanded in 2016?
Right.
2 years after 2 years after President Trump was in office, he disbanded the entire disease control pandemic task force. Completely pulled it out of the White House. So, what are we supposed to do? We had people in place. Now there is literally no one. Who? Pence? Pence is my guy? He's going to be my guy to tell me what to do? The guy is like literally quoting Bible scriptures and smiling his way through every single press conference. I have not once watched one single press conference outside of what Fauci has said that has been informative to me. So I don't know what to. If you're looking at me to see what, I have no idea. I would say ask your federal government.
Now, I see during all this downtime that you're very active on social media. I see Nonpoint's constantly posting cool things and updates for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got to stay active. Like I said, we're evolving with the situation. So right now we're kind of doing what we've done basically over the last year and a half, which is focus on our fan base, focus on our engagements, keep our fans interested with these campaigns that we're putting on. We're about to launch another one next week off the heels of the Frontlines campaign. So we're staying working, man.
Now, one thing I seen was a fantastic post earlier last month speaking about the protests and what's going on out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a subject that there's people that want to listen and hear both sides of the issue, and then there's people that are complacent and are happy with the way their lives are going, sort of like the COVID thing. If it's not knocking on your doorstep, it's really no concern of yours, and it's that kind of complacency that really allows for some of this, some of this much needed systematic issues to change. There's a life that certain people in this country live that is completely, overshadowed by just this American dream kind of political blanket that's set over our entire country. And there's actual citizens like myself that deal with, racism on a daily basis, to the point where you're in constant fear. I told a story to a friend of mine that completely changed his life, because he didn't realize that even someone like me, I deal with it on a regular basis. My daughter has a blonde curly afro and blue eyes. And I told him this story. This happened to me about 3 weeks ago. So for those listening that are saying, well, this is something that, it doesn't happen often, or, if you go to small town America, it's not happening. Well, it's exactly where it's happening. I was walking from my home across the street to a school park with my daughter, waiting at a light to cross the street. And when I crossed the street, a police officer pulled up on the curb in front of me with a Caucasian woman about age 60 running up, pointing to me, saying, "That's him, that's him." The cop gets out of his car and he walks up to me with his hand on his gun, with my daughter next to me, and says, can I see some ID? I was like, no, you can't see some ID. Why are you asking me for an ID? Who's this lady? And I point to her. And he says, well, don't worry about it. Is this your daughter? Is what he says to me. Upon which my response is, yeah, this is my fucking daughter.
Right.
You want to ask her?
That's
upon which the police officer turns to me and says, calm down, buddy. I said, I'm not going to calm down. This fucking lady called you and you responded this quickly. I was walking across the street to take my daughter to the park, and you're asking me if this is my daughter? The lady was still frustrated. Even though she found out that my daughter was mine, she was still upset. Now, when I said, and I turned to the cop and said, can I fucking go to the park with my daughter now? And he said, yeah, go ahead and go. I turned away. This fucking cop turned around to this lady and said, I understand why you called me.
Jesus Christ. That's fucked up, man.
I understand why you called me. Now, I should have, as a citizen, been able to turn around, grabbed his fucking badge number and his name, called his supervisor, and he should have been removed from that position. I should have been able to file hate charges against that lady for calling the fucking police on me. My daughter did not look like she was under duress. She was not crying. We were not arguing. We were happily walking to a park. And I was stopped because I have dreadlocks and brown eyes. And I had a white girl. I was holding hands with a white 8-year-old little girl. So that's a fucking problem in our country. When people feel so entitled and feel so right that the vision of something like a man with dreadlocks holding the hand of a blonde-haired, blue-eyed child, that there's something wrong there and I need to call the fucking cops.
It's a fucked up situation, man. I mean, I really...
That's my life. That is my life. And that is the life of 99% of all people of color in this country. And until people really start listening to the problems and issues and actual stories of people in this fight, they're never going to understand, and they're always going to be on the wrong side. Because I told that story to a friend of mine in upstate New York, and now he is on the news because he put Black Lives Matters posters and blankets all over his house. The neighbors called the cops, have him pull that stuff down, and the neighbors that supported what he was doing came to his defense. A lawyer working pro bono had the notice that the police department put on his door removed, and now he's held his fourth protest for the Black Lives Matter movement. Caucasian gentleman, Caucasian wife, 6-month-old son.
That's fantastic, man.
Because I'm his friend. And you know what? It's not as I can say what I want to say on my social media, and I could say it through my platforms. But it's what I personally believe. I have other band members and business partners and everything that probably don't share the same feelings that I share and the same passion behind this. But they also don't have death threats from a post hitting their direct messages. I've had 3 death threats. 1 this year because of a post. You saw the post that I put up. Was there anything bad in those posts?
Not at all.
Were they aggressive? No, they weren't. And I made sure, I'm a wordsmith, I make sure the things that I say, especially in print, don't come back to bite me in the ass. So the fact that me just posting something made someone in their heart of hearts go, I'm going to tell this motherfucker that he's got to die.
It's fucked up, dude.
That's the reality that we're living in. And if you're going to be so complacent as to pretend that it's not there, then you're part of the problem.
Now, what can you do to suggest to your fans to go ahead and speak out and do something about what's going on?
Stop the rhetoric around you. As soon as you see somebody go, all lives matter, it's not that big a deal, blue lives matter, all that, you got to shut that shit down. You have to. Because it's not about that. Of course, all lives matter. But until Latin lives, Asian lives, Black lives, people of color, the fact that I have a race box in my job application should say it all. The fact that less than 3% of all home loans go to Black citizens, that means less than 3% of the money in banks get loaned out to African Americans. There is a problem at the top, and it starts with the way people are talking around each other. That cop that I had the situation with shouldn't have turned to that lady and said, I understand why you called me. He should have said, why did you feel so compelled to call me? And made her think about her decision. That's what people need to do. All lives matter. Okay, tell me how all lives matter if Black people don't feel like their lives matter. Because I can't walk to the park without questioning whether or not my life matters.
Now, everything you said was well educated. It was perfect. It was spot on. I mean, it got people's eyes open. I mean, do you wish that more people out there could speak like you are right now to open up everyone's eyes?
Absolutely. But like I said, it comes with not being scared of stopping the rhetoric around you. You know, I have to stop family members because they really don't understand. Friends that really don't understand because they don't live it. I mean, you got to think about it, brother. I have some of the privilege. I have some of white privilege. Being who I am in my band, but I only get it in my community, in my circles. The second I step outside of my circles and my peer group, I'm a suspect. I was 3 weeks ago. 45-year-old male, taxpayer, citizen, good person, never been arrested, convicted. But I had the cops called on me because of what I looked like. Now, if I had reacted like a normal Caucasian citizen would have reacted in that moment, I mean, I could send you a link to a million videos of white people arguing with cops and nothing happening to them.
Right.
If I had escalated that situation, I could have been in jail. My daughter could be in Child Protective Services right now. Because that cop looked at that lady and said, I understand why you called me. So what do you think? He was on my fucking side?
Not in the least bit, man.
Exactly. So that is the problem. The system is the problem. The banter, the rhetoric, the complacency, that's the problem. And until people have the balls to stand up to their parents, their friends, their significant others that speak in that ignorant, hateful, complacent kind of way, then we're going to be in this situation forever.
Now, do you feel that the looting and the riots out there totally diminish everything that you're trying to get across?
Protesters don't loot. Looters loot. Opportunists loot. People that want to smudge this protest are looting. It's all getting uncovered. Every single burnt down building, every single smashed up car, I would say at least 80% of them have been traced back to people that weren't there for the protest, that were there to cause problems. And I'm telling you right now, a 16-year-old girl walking down the street, screaming Black Lives Matter, holding a sign with all of her friends, isn't there to steal sneakers.
Right. 100%.
She's there probably because her fucking ignorant-ass parents said some offhand shit in front of her, and now she wants to do something about it because her best friend is probably black. Our youth is making me proud. Our youth, the Gen Xers and Generation Z, everyone coming up, millennials started it. Millennials started it with the Green Movement, and Gen Z is picking it right up. And I'm proud. I'm so proud of kids getting smart enough to understand that. Our youth don't see color. Adults are the only ones. Politicians are the only ones. I'd say everyone over the age of 30 are the only people right now seeing color. And the ones that do below that age, it's because of their parents.
I mean, it's a fucked up thing that you still have people teaching racism out there. I mean, it's as far as we've all come as a nation and things that are going on, it's about time the change starts to go through.
And this is the best chance that we've had. So everyone's speaking up. And if you're not willing to speak up, just get out of the way and let the other people speak up for you. Because there are so many there's so many people speaking up for people of color right now that aren't on this side. Like I said, I couldn't be prouder. I couldn't be prouder of the movement. So the loot, you know what? Let's see, a sports fucking team. The Boston, Red Wings don't fucking win. They loot. Fucking Guns N' Roses didn't play with Metallica. How much damage did that fucking do?
Right.
You know, and that was because what? You didn't get to see a fucking concert? And you're going to bitch right now because people are looting? It's literally in the Constitution that it says, whatever you have to do, take up arms and fight against a system that is working to suppress you. That is what is going on. And people are tired of it. Using our tax dollars to keep us basically imprisoned and scared and in fear of our lives. Me not being able to walk to a fucking park in 2020.
Now, with all these feelings and emotions that you're having here, have you poured any of that into new music?
Of course. Yeah, it's most likely all gonna come out in the next. But I mean, anybody that's listened to my band the last 20 years, they know that that's where our heart. I mean, The Truth, Bullet with a Name, It's Gonna Be a War, Alive and Kicking, Generation Idiot. I mean, I can go through the list of my catalog and just name every single fucking song that has to do with this.
Well, I mean, you know, I can't wait to see what comes out of it on your end on that aspect. I mean,
yeah, I'm probably gonna get Hyro to be on one of them. Him and I have been back and forth every once in a while, hitting up some stuff, but he's fierce. I might tap him to hit me on one of these songs.
So during this process, when you're writing the music, are you and the band are you guys able to get together, or how does that work out?
We're all practicing our social distancing, and we get together maybe once or twice a month. We're getting ready to do a couple of new campaigns in August, September, and October that is really going to get the fans excited. So we're practicing some stuff that we're going to have to do. And then, like I said, next week we're going to have another campaign started that everyone is going to see that we're definitely going to have to get in the studio and record this stuff. So one way or another, we kind of get together. We definitely keep our distance. We don't hug or shake hands or dab or, you know, we wave at each other from a distance. Everybody kind of walks in the room and stays in their spot.
See, that's what I was questioning. I mean, you guys are in the room, but you're smart enough to stay away from each other. I was wondering if it was like over different deals or something like that.
No. I literally basically almost stand completely out of the rooms just to give the guys enough space. Rob is in his corner. Adam's about 8 feet away from him. Jason's about 6 feet away from him, and Rashid's on the other side, about 8 feet away from me. So we, like I said, we keep our distance, and we're all kind of inside. The only person that really goes out and back is Jason because he still has his old job because he just recently joined the band, so he's still out. But he works outside and he does demo, so he's in a building, in a room by himself tearing out walls, so he's not near anyone. So we're lucky. We're lucky, and I keep saying that I'm lucky. I'm lucky I got to spend this much time with my family. This long extended period of time with my family. It's been a while since I've been home for 6 months straight with my wife and my daughter. So, I'm trying to look at the bright side. I'm getting to be a lot more engaged with fans on stage. I mean, on socials, without having to worry about stage shows and all that other stuff. So I'm trying to look at the bright side.
Now, how does that affect you mentally? I mean, for someone who's been on the road for so long to be at home and just a different breed, so to speak.
It's peace. It's peace. I'm constantly go. So, to be home gives me calm and, allows me to focus on the important stuff. My family, the movement, the music, and our fans.
Now people want to follow up. They want to see the next campaign. They want to reach out to you. They want to see music. Where do they go? What do they do?
Nonpoint Band on Insta, Nonpoint Official on Facebook. You definitely want to follow all of them. You can follow me on the Elias Soriano and then all the other band members. We're always putting up funny stuff, TikToks. I love to entertain the fans and keep them all smiling and laughing. So if you want to laugh and you want new music and new fun and experiences, definitely hit us up on all our socials.
And the fans that want to support, I see you guys have like masks and stuff for sale. Is that right?
We're about to do a restock on the masks. They sold out in less than 48 hours. It was the fastest moving campaign that we've ever had in the history of our band. So we're waiting on those. Masks are really hard to get right now. They're high in demand, so we're waiting on our supplier to have them printed up. As soon as they're printed up, we're going to do another restock sale and get those going. But yeah, just go to the nonpointstore.com and you'll see all the goodies.
And you mentioned you guys have a new campaign for next week. Can you get a little bit about what we can expect?
Next week, it's going to be about voting. We're going to have almost 2 weeks of straight voting on a particular subject. I'm not going to say the subject because I want it to be a surprise on the announcement. But it's going to probably be the most engaging fan experience that anyone has ever had with our band. We're really going to lean on the fans and ask them a question that is really going to get them involved in the next few steps for the band.
Awesome. All right, man. I really appreciate your time. It was eye-opening speaking with you. I mean, I'm sorry everything fucked up like that happened to you and you have to deal with that bullshit on a daily. But it seems like you're overcoming what you can, man.
Yeah, it's a life of a person of color. And like I said, if this conversation or this interview made you feel that kind of like, what the fuck energy, and it compelled you to say something or do something, now is the time. You have the support of so many people that feel the same way as you do. Let's get this place right for everybody.
Awesome, man. Very well spoken. That was great speaking with you.
I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
All right, take care.
You too.